Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? Okay, let us start with the right. Good evening, everyone. Today we are here to attend a workshop related to utilization of AI, artificial intelligence, to develop interactive applications. The application which we're going to develop are cross-platform applications that can be deployed on the web, can be deployed on the desktop, as well as can be deployed on the mobile also. Uh, Typically, when we talk about cross-platform applications, these are those applications which have only one source code, and that can be deployed on any device depending upon the usage or the application, for example, of the particular workflow. And how we develop that application is using cross-platform tools that are available. The benefit of the cross-platform application against native application is that in native application you need to develop the application solely for the particular device. For example, if you are Android user, or for example, if you want to develop an application that runs on the Android only, so you can develop a native application for Android. However, if you want to develop an application that can be installed or that can be used in, for example, different platforms. For example, if you want to use an application on the desktop computers also, for example, on the laptops and on the desktop, as well as on the tablets and as well as on the mobiles and as well as on the web browser. So you need to, one way to do is you develop each application separately. For example, you develop an application for the mobile phone, and in the mobile phone, you either develop it for the Android or you develop it for the iOS. Similarly, if you want to develop the same application for the web, you develop from scratch that application for the web browser also. Or for example, if you want to develop it for the computers, you can develop it as a desktop application fully. That's not a very efficient process because you are developing a single application that has single purpose, and you are writing a piece of code again and again in different environments in order to run it on that particular, for example, platform. On the contrary, we have, to overcome the issue of developing the application again from scratch, what we do is we develop the application only in a cross-platform environment so that we code the application only once, and that application can be deployed in different platforms depending upon our need. So, for example, we develop an application only once, and then we deploy that application in different, for example, devices using just the compilation tools. So, the classical example of such applications are WhatsApp. For example, WhatsApp can be used through tablets, WhatsApp can be used through mobile phones, can be used through computers, can be used through web browser also. Now, there is the main code of the WhatsApp is at a single place. We call that place as a source code container, or we also call it as an engine. And then we deploy, for example, for different platforms, for different devices, we deploy its executable that so that the users can use that. So, and if, for example, we need to update that application, we do it the updation only on the source post only once. And that is actually reflected across all of the devices. So this is the main benefit of cross-platform application. So you just develop an application only once, and then you can deploy it on any device based upon its usage. Now, typically, what is the workflow of development is that typically you need to write the development code yourself. I mean, this is what we have been doing so far right now. There are some developers, we call them full stack developers, or for example, backend developers or the front end developers, depending upon how they work. So typically, the application that we see right now actually involves front end. And in the front end, what we typically do is we design the UI of the application, make it interactive so that user feel it appealing to use. And the application, I mean, the objective of the application is that it should be as simple as possible to use, whether and at the same time it provides powerful workflows also. So it supports powerful workflows. It handles user requests while it is as simple to use as possible and as interactive as possible. This is the main goal of the front end developers. So they develop the UI of the application so that it is simple as well as powerful to use. On the other hand, backend developer, what they do is they provide the backend functionality. So basically, whenever user clicks on anything, on any user component, the functionality that is executed is provided or it's developed by the backend developer. And then we have the full stack developer. Full stack developers are responsible for designing both the front end and the back end of the application. Now, developing the application, I mean, prior to, for example, the advent of LLMs and the generative AI tools, typically the workflow that was there in order to develop the application requires software background. I mean, you need to have a background from software, or you need to have a programming background in order to develop applications. If you don't have a programming background, I mean, the syntax is not important, the languages are not important, but the main programming concepts, you need to have a familiarity with those concepts in order to develop the application. This was a required thing in the past. But now this thing has been removed, or it is being eliminated with the use of AI. So what AI is doing now is it's allowing the layman who don't have a programming background to develop the applications and the interactive applications also, and the application which solves the user's issues without the need to know the coding at all. So basically now there is a new paradigm in the for example in the software development, which is known as no code development. No code development is the actually platform in which you just use AI, or if you don't use AI, I mean, you use visual components in order to develop your application. So basically, you don't need to know about the programming. You don't need to have a programming background in order to develop good applications. And the majority component of the no-code development is being done using AI. So basically, we use generative AI tools in order to develop the application without the need to know the code at all. So how does it work? We're going to see this today. We are going to see some demos also in order to develop the applications. So it's just a very handy tool that allows us to develop applications without the need to know the programming background at all. So today, the outline of today's workshop is, first of all, we're going to see what is the introduction, what is the mobile applications, how, or the web applications, how we can develop them, especially using AI. Okay, let me check about the echo. Is the echo better now? Hello? Hello? Can anybody respond if there is no echo, if the voice is clear? Okay, thank you very much. All right, okay. So first of all, we will discuss the how, for example, what is the mobile applications, web applications, and desktop application in general, what are cross-platform applications, and how we can use AI in order to develop those applications. Then we're going to talk about some of the dilemmas that we have related to AI. Now, AI is not like a magic. Like it's not like if you're going to give a prompt and it's going to give you the result. It's an iterative process. You need to bear with the AI. You need to think of AI as a 5-year-old, even below 5, like 2 years, 3-year-old kid. So you need to be first of all patient with the AI usage. So if likely, I mean, what will happen is, for example, if you give a prompt to the AI, it's going to give you an application which is not desirable, which you don't need. That's understandable because AI is not 100% accurate. It makes mistakes. We need to bear with the AI. We need to tell that, okay, you made a mistake, you need to do this and this, like this and that. So, I mean, the main thing which we need to consider while using AI in the development workflow is that we need to tell AI to do the things. AI will only do the things for which, for example, we told the AI to do, and the it totally depends on the prompt. So, for example, how we are going to ask the question, AI is going to respond in a similar manner. So, we need to be very specific in asking AI to do the task which we desire. If we just give a prompt which is quite generic, AI is going to make a mistake. So we're going to see some of the workflows that we require, and some of the dilemmas that we need to consider, and then that we need to make sure that we know before we do or before we use the AI in the development. So one of the dilemma is that many users, especially the layman users who don't have familiarity with the IT, with the software development, or with the AI itself, for example, who are, for example, from the field which are not related to IT, they think that AI is a magic. You're going to say anything to the AI and it's going to do the wonders for them. It's not true. It's based on user feedback and user interaction. So we need to derive the AI in order to perform a task in a better manner, depending upon how we ask the question from the AI. And if AI makes a mistake, then we need to go back and we need to reiterate our prompt again in order to make sure that AI gives us the correct answer as we desired. So we are going to talk about these things, for example, in few details also. Then we are going to talk about prompt engineering, which is very important. Prompt engineering is a workflow that allows us to design a very good prompt in an efficient manner, and that is more detailed and specific, so that we ask exactly the things which we want the AI to do for us. So we are going to talk about this. This has been discussed over many times, and why this is discussed over many times because of its importance. So prompt is the key in order to get the good work from AI. If we have a bad prompt, eventually the AI is going to give us a bad result. And if we provide a good prompt to the AI is going to give us a good result. Now, what is good AI? What is good prompt? Good prompt is a detailed prompt in which you specify each and every detail to the AI so that it doesn't make mistake and it gives you the exact or close to the exact answer which you want. So prompt engineering is a very important thing to consider while we develop, for example, the application, or while we use AI in any workflow which we want to use, for example, in our daily life. And then we are going to talk about some of the tools that support AI for the app development, and then we're going to use one of that tool in order to develop an application that I'm going to show you in a live demo, and then we're going to take some question and answers. So about introduction, we know what is the AI. AI is artificial intelligence the fundamental concept of AI is to mimic human intelligence, to mimic human behaviors in different fields of life. For example, it's just like to automate the human intelligence or to mimic the human intelligence in different workflows. Now, the concept of artificial intelligence is software driven. Basically, it's a software. Whenever we talk about AI is basically a software that derives either another software in order to do the user task or to derive the hardware in order to do the user task. For example, the robots which we see, robots are the hardware mimic of humans. For example, we utilize robots in order to mimic human behaviors in our daily life that involves physical interactions. Physical interaction means that human interact with physical objects in the environment. Now, AI is a software. It doesn't directly interact with the environment. For example, if I want to pick a cup of coffee from the table, it requires physical interaction. And for physical interaction, we need a hardware. And typical hardware is a robotic system that we generally develop, and particularly a robotic arm that we develop in order to take the cup of coffee from the table. Now, in order to operate that robot or in order to operate that hardware, we need some intelligence. And that intelligence is provided by the AI. So when we combine AI with robotics, that creates a humanoid representation of us to perform our tasks, to help us in easing our tasks, or to aid us in performing or assist us in performing different tasks that involve physical interaction. However, when we deal with anything that is related to software, only AI is enough to handle those tasks for us. For example, if I want to write a research paper, I can utilize AI in a positive manner and ethical manner, that can assist me in writing a piece of paper or a document in a very efficient way. Similarly, if I want to develop an app, I mean, using, for example, if I want to develop a web app, I can use AI that can assist me in developing the application for me. Now, when we talk about developing an application using AI, there are two things. One thing is you ask AI to give you the piece of code that you can install or that you can use in your application in order to run it. For example, if I want an application to show me Google Map locations, for example, from my current location to, for example, some restaurant near me, I can ask the AI to give me the piece of code that can do that job, and I can use that code and put it in my application and run it. But such kind of interaction or such kind of workflow requires software knowledge. It is like you have the software with you, you're developing the software application yourself, and you just need a piece of code that integrates the Google Maps, which takes your location and the nearby restaurant location and gives you a path which you can follow in order to reach to that restaurant. Now, this type of interactions involve, for example, or need a software knowledge from us. For example, this type of workflow is for the person who knows programming, who knows software development. On the other hand, if the person does not know a software development at all, he's a layman, he's from any other field which is not related to IT, for example. So, I mean, then there is a different workflow for the app development. So you need different tools in order to, so basically you will have no interaction with the coding at all. So you will just provide the prompt to the AI, and AI is going to develop a complete software for you from scratch. It can give you the code also if you want to change something in the code, but the main purpose is for that particular tool is to give you the application based upon your prompt. So you will just tell a prompt to AI, and it's going to develop that particular piece of code for you in order to use it. Now, this thing actually, AI, usage of AI in software development is something very new. It's not a kind of a mainstream right now, but it is going towards that end. Now, I mean, it makes mistakes. It maybe if you tell the AI to do something, for example, to develop a software to do something, it will not give you 100% correct software to do that. It will have some mistakes. But I mean, through iterative process, through telling the AI, okay, do this, remove this functionality, and add this. I wanted this. You gave me this, which is wrong. Please do this. So through interactive interaction, you can improve the AI workflow in order to give you the correct software that you want. And for example, this is being done right now. People are working on this. It's not 100% accurate. People are. There was a case for the Devon AI. Devon AI is a very popular AI tool that allows the development of the software using AI. Now it makes a lot of mistakes, and there were many cases which have been highlighted in the news that it's not. I mean, 100% accurate. It makes a lot of mistakes. It gives errors. Yes, it will give you errors. It will not be 100% accurate, but this thing is being improved daily, day by day. So, I mean, we need to bear with this thing, but it is quite helpful in designing the web applications or mobile application that we require, especially for the basic tasks. So it's a very handy tool that we're going to see today. And the best thing about using AI in the software development is that it supports no code development. No code development means that you don't have to know about the coding in order to develop the applications from the, for example, to perform our daily tasks. So again, this is just a dilemma. AI is not magic. It's just a handy tool that is here for us to assist us in developing the things easily, more productively. It is here for us to save our time. For example, it can reduce the work of months to hours. So basically, it's a very handy tool, and it should be used in daily workflow. It will allow us to save our time, but I mean, it will not be 100% accurate. It will make mistakes, and this thing we need to know for sure, and we need to bear this thing, and we need to accept this thing, and we need to do some iterations in order to improve the task which we want AI to do for us. And similarly, software development in AI is not an autonomous process, which means that there will be some interaction that you need to provide. If you have a coding background, you can directly jump into the code and fix the things which you don't want. And I mean, improve the software. You can do it by yourself. If you don't have a software background, then use prompts. Tell the AI to do the things through prompts. Your prompt should be very clear, and it's going to generate the code for you, and it's going to add that functionality for you in your applications. Now, AI is as good as you provide this with the prompt or a question. So, I mean, prompt engineering is a way that allows us to generate good prompts that help us in order to develop good software at the end. So, AI is just as good as your question. So, if you ask question in a good manner, if you're specific in your question, if you're telling every detail in your question, AI is going to give you good results. If you are too generic in your questions, then AI is going to make a lot of mistakes. So a classical example here is given to us. For example, if you want to develop a car racing schedule application, for example, we want to develop an application that gives us a car racing schedule, and we can give a prompt like this. Okay, create a web app showcasing local car racing session. We can give this prompt to the, for example, the tools that takes the prompts and give you the software or the application directly. Now, if we give such kind of prompt to the, for example, application is not going to give us the correct result. It's going to make mistakes, a lot of mistakes. However, if you give a better prompt like this, in which you're specific, for example, create a cross-platform application that inform us about local car racing sessions in Abu Dhabi, for example, and when the user pay for any certain session or event, she should be able to be presented with the session detail and location, exact location also. This is the functionality that we are specifically providing to the AI in order to, for us that we require in our application. Similarly, the application should give heads up to the user about the car racing event based on user personal liking. So we also want the application to give some recommendation about the racing session based upon the user interaction. For example, if the user is interested in particular racing, for example, car racing, or for example, bike racing, or for example, boat racing, if the user is more interested toward that session, so the application should also give some personal recommendation to the user also, for example, for an upcoming event, which is related to the likings of the user itself. So we want this recommendation system to be integrated in our application also. So this is a very, if you see this prompt, this is a very precise prompt compared to the first prompt. So the result which will be given to us through this prompt will be better for us in order to, if we, for example, want to use it in our, for example, in order to develop the AI. Now, the tools that we used in order to develop an AI are the following. I mean, there are many tools actually. These are few of them which are quite popular. For example, Devon AI is quite popular. It's used not only for the, for example, cross-platform application. Also, you can use it for native application development also. But for example, it is buggy. I mean, it makes mistakes. All of these tools make mistakes. They're not 100% correct. But I mean, it's just like these are the tools which are being used most of the, I mean, by the, for example, community most of the time. Buzzy is a new tool which is being used. It's also gaining popularity because it's very easy to use, and it's very, I mean, it gives the result. It makes less mistakes. It's quite popular these days. People are using it. Then we have Adalo also, Bubble, Chunkable. I mean, these are different tools which are available right now in order to develop the application. The one which we are going to use is the Buzzy. Why we are going to use the Buzzy is because it's popular these days. It's very easy to use, and you can develop your applications, cross-platform application that can be deployed onto your phone, mobiles, for example, or tablets, or desktops, or web easily and very conveniently. So we're going to use this tool for our demos now, and I'm going to show you how, for example, you can create an app using Buzzy. Buzzy is a tool that we're going to use. It's a web-based tool. You need to log into that tool. If you pay, there is a, for example, 40-day price for that. Then they're going to charge you $50 per year. For example, if you want to use it in a full pro mode. If you want to just explore it, it's free of cost, but it has some certain limitations. For example, it doesn't provide you a lot of functionality to develop your application. But for example, if you are into application development, or for example, if you're working in a sector where you need to develop an application, or for example, you pay some people a lot of money in order to develop the application to the software development, for example, then it's a good thing to buy a pro version of Buzzy. It's going to save you a lot of money at the end. You can develop the application on your own, and you don't need to ask, for example, a software developer in order to develop your applications. You can do it by yourself, even if you don't have any background of IT. So Buzzy is the thing which tool which we're going to use today in order to develop an application. And the application which we're going to develop is event scheduling application. This is an application that we're going to develop. Basically, it's going to tell us different events that is going to be occurred, and in single event we can create multiple sessions to it. And the prompt which we're going to use is this prompt. For example, we will say that create an event planning application that allows the user to create, manage, or participate in events. The application supports different types of users such as event organizers, speakers, attendees. So there will be, for example, a login and log out functionality also in which persons can be registered as organizers, speakers, and attendees. And similarly, the application should allow the creation and management of online session, for example. So this is the prompt that we're going to pass to the Buzzy, and we will develop the applications. So let us start with the, for example, this workflow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this prompt, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to launch Buzzy. So basically, this actually is a platform that transforms your ideas into a web application or cross-platform application or website in just minutes. So here are different options that we can do. For example, we can enter our own prompt, we can use their example prompts, for example, or for example, we can design the application using Figma. Figma is a tool to design the website. For example, is to create the theme of the web application or website, or for example, a mobile application. And then it's just a designing tool, and then you can integrate Figma with the Buzzy. Buzzy will provide the code in order to transform your design into a complete working application. So if you're interested in designing, Figma is a tool that you can use. Or for example, you can, for us, like let's suppose we want to develop an application from scratch using prompts. We are considering a workflow where we don't know about the programming at all. We will just work with the prompts in order to develop our website. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to enter my own prompt. For example, I'm going to, here is giving an option also. For example, I'm going to paste my prompt, which I generated, and then I will press continue. And it's going to ask me about email. I'm going to provide my email to create my account. Okay, what is the issue? Okay, let me try with the other one. So it's creating the application. It's going to take some time. Obviously, for example, when we develop an application based as a software developer, we also need, I mean, the developer also needs some time in order to develop an application. Now it's going to send me some email. Let me, going to take 2 minutes. So. This is just some introduction that is given to us. Now it's going to ask our roles. For example, we can choose different roles. It's taking time for creating the application. Is just based upon our background. It's going to personalize the development of the application. For example, it's saying, okay, the application will be generated in 6 minutes. So this is what I'm saying. 6 minutes is the time. Even for example, when you develop an application from scratch, if you have a development background, it's going to take more than 6 minutes in order to develop a workable application also. So this is the time we need to wait in order to, for example, Buzzy to develop an application for us. And these are certain, for example, questions which Buzzy are what is the main goal in using, for example, just exploring there to learn, for example, options. It's just a survey it's asking. generating the app. So we need to wait for some time. Okay, so basically while it's generating the app, I have already generated this app and I'm just sharing it here. So instead of us being I mean, instead of waiting for this app to be created, we can just explore this app. Now you can see this app. For example, if I can see this app, you can open this app in web, you can open this app in mobile. For example, I'm just sharing you with a mobile, for example, screen. If you open it into a mobile, the app will look like this. Now it's generated here also. If you see this app is generated here as well. For example, now you can say get started, and if you say get started, for example, you can say here these are different dummy events which have been created by the app itself. I mean, the same thing is here also. So I think we can skip with this now because the app is generated. So if you see here you see different, for example, events which have been created. These are dummy events which have been created by the, for example, Buzzy, and some dummy account. For example, this is Jack Wilson. This is an account which has been created. You can actually enter the, for example, events. Now in this event, for example, if you go into certain events, you see some session and you can add the session. There are some dummy sessions also which have been added. The app was about event scheduling. So basically you can create an event and you can add the detail of the event, for example, and then it's going to show you. And for a certain event, you can add sessions. For example, in a particular event, if it's a music event or an art event, you can add certain sessions along with, for example, its information. It's given here and the speaker name also. You can add more speakers to it, so on and so forth. Now, in this, for example, application, in this certain event, for example, this is the time of the event. For example, this event is going to occur on 5th December, for example, at 3 p.m. This is the location. Now, when I click the location, it's just the name of the location. Now, I want the, for example, when I click the location, I want to see the exact location on a Google map. So this functionality is missing here. For example, I can ask here the AI in order to add the functionality to showcase the event location on Google Maps when I click the location field. Location text field. I can enter it. It's going to make the changes in the app on the runtime. So it's regenerating. Okay, so he has created the screens and updated the app. So basically now I can go, for example, I can go to the get started here. I can create a mobile version, for example, or the tablet version of the application. I can go here to certain event. This was the event. If I click on this, so this is the thing. For example, it can make mistakes. You need to bear with it. So for example, here, for example, making changes. I can show you how I created this functionality ready. Okay, let me show you. So if I get started here, just my name. Cross this. Yeah, so if I go here, user, any user file. Yeah, so this is the event. If I click this event, basically this was the functionality which has been added. So for example, if I this is one of the event, for example, these are the events which have been created. I already created it before. So for example, if you click any of the event and if you click the location, it's going to show that particular location on the Google map. It's going to drop a pin. And you can update this pin. For example, if you want to, instead of going here, for example, if you want this pin to be dropped here, for example, you can change it. Yeah, you can add a pin here, for example, or here. You can put the pin here and you can insert it, and it's going to update the location, and then you can update it. So this is for example the event. The description of the event is there. This is the location. You can click on it, and it's going to show you that same location. so on and so forth. So basically, and the prompt exactly which I used was this. I had a functionality to display in my application on Google Map. Now I updated a bit a prompt here. For example, that prompt which I used here, for example, in this application was a bit different. It was first of all, it was add a functionality to get the event location. When I click the location field, it is a bit different than that prompt, and it wasn't able to generate the accurate result. So this is the thing which I was saying, that you need to be very specific in order to, for example, you need to work with this AI. I mean, multiple times in order to develop the desired functionality that you want. Here, for example, in this application, I got it in one go, but for example, in the other application, I didn't got it. So this is the thing that you need to work with it in order to develop for example, the exact functionality. But I mean, so this thing is, I mean, it's taking, this thing is quite new. I mean, it's not 100% correct, but it is something that is able to generate your application as you want, and then you can deploy it. For example, if you buy a full version of this, for example, Buzzy, you can deploy this application. So if you see here, these are the, for example, the details about the events. For example, the session. These are all things which have been added in the database. This is, for example, the database information which is being contained, which has been added as a dummy for you for your application. You can add more things in it, and then you can work with this, or you can delete this information. For example, this is dummy information. And similarly, you can update the design of your application using, for example, Figma. You can update the theme. Some of the key things you can ask to this application on the fly also. For example, you can say change the theme to dark. For example, here the theme is light. You can say, okay, change the theme of the app to dark, for example. You can say it like this, and then it's going to make the changes for you. The theme has been changed as per your request and set on the app. So it's dark. You see, it is black now. So that's pretty much about it. If someone has any questions, they can ask me, and then we can go ahead with this. Thank you. Yes, any questions from anybody? Any questions, anything, anyone who wants to ask anything about it? Okay, so if there is no questions for anyone, maybe we can conclude. Let me, for example, if you later on, if you have any questions, you can contact me on this email. And if you have any query related to anything, for example, you can ask me on this email at any time. So let me just paste this in the chat box also. The chat, and that's it. So if there are no questions, maybe we can conclude the session. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. Please take care.